Raise your horns high and let your spirit flow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show. Feel the rush, let the loudness grow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show.
Well, all right. Well, what do we want to pick it up prior to the Deadpool chat CMS stuff? So
last night CMS. So on my flight back from Birmingham, ladies and gentlemen, I went ahead and digested last night's CMS on Rumble. And if any of you think that Aiken's disdain for boats is because he only has a use for them to water ski behind them, I'd like to see that feat. On video or photographs or some kind of evidence that Aiken can get behind a boat and it can pull him to water ski. I don't know. Physics might play a part. Rope, the strength of a rope. Right. I mean, how much weight?
I'm talking like something that holds a fucking anchor.
Yeah, like a trucker's chain or something. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
Because the idea that his issue with the boat is that if he can't ski behind it, it has no point. I was like, what? Okay, you ski. Water skiing is the most fucking insane thought I've ever had. Probably the one it's kind of like the idea of him skydiving or something. I just can't picture it. I don't know. Maybe he's a 400-pound man who can make these things happen. But my guess is
bungee jumping or something.
I mean, I'm just saying, you never saw like King Kong Bundy, the WWF, doing these things. You know what I'm saying? The guys are that size. You just don't, if you're a legit 400-pounder, there's probably limitations here. There's probably like weight things, limitations and safety requirements. It's kind of like when you go to the amusement park, and they say you got to be at least this high to get on the ride. At least, but if you weigh over this much, we can't even put you on the goddamn thing.
Right.
So. That was just comical to me. And they did the usual thing of telling me about their TV habits. And I have no interest of your TV habits, guys. Let's get back to music.
But did it really devolve when then they did the paid segment about Jimmy Swaggart? It was just like,
I was going to get to that. Why this old piece of crap, two-faced, prostitute using, whatever, swindling under Jesus's name. Like, why would you even bring up that he died? Who cares?
Right.
Who cares?
And why would you give like a TED talk on it? I mean, what a shithead.
Only my older brother would possibly think this is something worthy to bring to his radio show.
Well, it fills hours.
Yeah, well, that's clearly his goal is to get his mug and his BS on the air as much as possible for as long as possible. Whereas clearly, if you saw the beginning of yesterday's show, you all would know that Aiken didn't hardly wake up in time and kind of acted like, I loved it because when I had the Rumble audio in the back of my phone, I heard him saying, I'm here, because he was so late, because he's like, he don't give a fuck about this. He don't want to do 6 hours, Wendell.
No,
why don't you get the clue, bro?
And the ghoulish fucking commercials, ads that he's reading. My God, I mean, you don't need that in HD. Fuck.
And then imagine, I don't know if any of those are going on the actual recordings that are then going to go on to the YouTube and the Rumbles, because you're going to get more commercials on top of Aiken reading you commercials. And he openly said it's because he needs the shekels. So what's up, bro? Like, the IT business isn't cutting it, and the pinball PA doesn't make an income that can support you and the kid. I don't understand what's going on, but either way, if you have to read ads now, that seems, we are devolving so far from the shit you guys preached in 2015 and before about how this show's free and we don't do that and we would never do this and we don't sell out for that and we want our free speech. And now it's like, we can't bring up these topics. We can't talk about that guy. And now I'm going to read ads and you're going to pay me more money. Otherwise you're not going to get what you want from the show.
Yeah. I was kidding with you about him starting to do squatty potty, and I hate Steven Singer ads like Stern.
Ashley Madison coming on there and reading the Ashley. So yeah, I mean, because that's another thing. They used to rag on Stern and how he devolved his show into this corporate safe thing that used to be edgy and now it's no longer edgy.
Well, remember that satellite shouldn't have ads, so I guess streaming shows shouldn't have ads. But here you go. You get them.
Exactly. Yeah. And so once again, I can't say it any more clearly. Like me and Ruben are not in this for a paycheck because there ain't a motherfucker paying me to dress up like fucking Wendell Neely. Trust me. If there was a paycheck in that, then I'd probably be getting the top paycheck for it. There's none. So we'll never go that far. We're just doing this for shits and kicks. And the bottom line is, if someone wanted to sponsor us, like I said, we probably think about that at the beginning of the show or after a show. But we're not doing commercials in between. We're not making you sit around waiting for me to tell you, go to friendlydating.com because my brother and me, the Neelys, have found the love of our lives via lovely Taylor and via this way. You know, if you call 1-800, I'm just telling you, like, we don't need that, dude. And Aiken, we don't need you reading it live on the Rumble. It's
I guess it's one thing if he was reading it live, but let's not see you on the screen. My God.
Yeah, put an advertisement for the place. Like if their coffee, if you're talking to, because the one I caught right out the get-go was the coffee. He was selling you coffee. Well, put the picture of the coffee on the screen and just you talking in the background. We don't need to see. No one wants more Aiken mug time, just like they don't want more evil mug time. We give you enough, and you don't need any more. So,
well, maybe he could get Grampula to read the ads in a vampire voice.
Or let's just say, dude, like, I mean, I don't know. I know you're saying you don't get no sleep and you're up watching the Sabbath thing and you're doing your research and all this stuff. Like there's other days of the week that you could have took an hour or two and record it with all your technical abilities. You couldn't record the 30-second or 2 minutes or 1 minute, whatever it is, spot that you're doing, and then just have that with the art and our logo and you talking, and then you just hit play. Even that, like I said, is a little bit more tolerable than what we had, which is you on the screen fumbling through a read. Don't need it, dude. And let's be straight. If you're the if I'm the coffee guy, I don't know if that's what I wanted to pay for.
Yeah.
You read, I get the coffee is the best rifle black coffee on the market. I'm just saying, I would be cooler if you had to. So just take a little extra. I don't know. I guess maybe effort because he's not getting paid enough. Maybe because he feels the locals is not generating what he thought it would. Now he's taking on the commercial. And I think for me, what it signifies is that 50% of the CMS just doesn't give a F anymore.
Right.
That's Aiken. He just doesn't care about the CMS anymore. Right. I don't think Wendell's getting it. And
no.
Wendell's over here rattling on for 6 hours of nonsense about Jimmy Swaggart and perverts and this and that.
Shit. He's like, is there a chance we could add another hour?
Yeah. So
I mean,
fuck. I don't know. So there's definitely a disconnect there. And I think that we could all agree that for actual content and subjects being discussed, trim it down to 2 or 3 hours, boys, and just call it. That's all you need to do. If Wendell wants to play DJ afterwards for an hour or two,
he could do the request for those shitheads.
People in the chat room, and all that, and still do his thing, cool. Or, again, I don't know. I don't know what their schedules are, what their ability is, or how, I'm just saying it just seems odd. And it just seems, again, I'm just going to say it again, contradictory and hypocritical of what you had told all of us for so long that you were doing the show, the way you were doing the show, which was no filters, all free, free to stay. And then we all find out that's just not the case.
Well, and then they'll ban you if you if you try to instigate stuff on Rumble chat. They'll ban your ass and still take your money.
If you dress up as Wendell's brother, they get offended. Apparently, there could only be one guy apparently who has a flowing blonde hair and iron cross sleeveless shirts. I don't know, but I talked to my father, Dayton, and he told me that Wendell can shove it up his ass, that he's not the only Neely, so just do what I want to do. So I said, okay, Dayton.
Did he end it with or how many knows?
He answers the phone. That's how you know it's Dayton. He goes, That's how he answers the phone. There's no hello. It's you know.
Jesus.
Hey, Dad. It's your youngest over here in California and Oregon, man. It's Evil. Oh, hey, Evil. I haven't talked to you in a while. Is your brother Wendell fucking off with that radio show again? He's still doing it, Dad.
Is he making any money yet?
Tell him to stop giving those people the shuck and jive on those sponsored segments. And I told him, I don't know what he's doing with those sponsored segments, Pops. He's on his own. So,
yeah. That show was so dull. Like I really the televangelist thing really just dragged on.
I got like about 2 or 3 minutes in. I saw where he was going. I left it on the background and did other shit because I got other shit to do. I don't need to be fucking revisiting some shit that's literally 40 years ago, Wendell, 40 plus years ago.
Right.
So no one in the current demographic that's up there hitting the segment, I want to pop on it on Rumble or YouTube and hear some CMS talk, is wanting to hear about something that happened back in 1985 or whatever. We just don't care, dude. We get it. There was a bunch of TV evangelists, like 85% were perverts and fakes and taking your money while they were screwing hookers and doing blow. Guess what that is, Wendell? That's Washington, D.C., that's Hollywood, that's New York, that's Miami, that's San Francisco, bro. It's any city with money and people and doing their shit. It's always going to have some level of corruption. As soon as you involve humans, there's this thing called shit that comes out of humans, both out of their mouth and out of their body. And when you involve human beings, large volumes, millions of them in a city or a place doing business, you're going to have shit.
Right.
And so, no, I don't need God in Texas or God or this guy Olstein down there doing the same ruse. There's so many of them doing it. It's like, why, but why would we dig? We can go find the documentary on Netflix ourselves, Wendell. We don't need to hear you talk about it 2 times and tell me where you watched it. Just tell me where you watched it and leave it at that.
And then the other thing is they again rehashed Ed Trunk stuff.
Yeah, well, that's because they're still trying to, I'm going to guess, maybe in some way, shape, or form, strike up some media attention by having some kind of war with Ed Trunk, like they're on the same battlefield. It's like Ed's not taking that bait, nor does he care. Ed, whether he got invited or didn't get invited, or his issues with Sharon and Ozzy, or all this stuff, nothing to do with the CMS. No one mentions the CMS. No one cares about the CMS. No one knows about the CMS. And we should all know our role, because even less people know about the wrap-up show. So we're not here going like, hey, come on, Ed. Ed, you're doing this. Ed, you did that. Ed, you said this. Ed, why don't you come on the wrap-up show, Ed? We're your enemy. We're your equal, Ed.
We ought to start a feud with the White Lion drummer. That we could do.
Yeah. Because that's probably more of our speed, or anyone that's doing a podcast that used to be in the project. They're probably about our level. Project. I'm just saying. So the bottom line is that they overplay their hand like they're on some. Ed doesn't care, dude, and they ain't listen. Just like Wendell doesn't listen to my emails or my calls or my banter, or if I saw Wendell and threw him a CMS Wrap Up Show T-shirt, I would have full expectations it might end up in the trash can. Should we be surprised that Ed would treat them that way when Ed's too busy doing Ed? And on top of it, they always crack him for it. Well, then, if you know Ed's about Ed, then why would you be surprised? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You go into it knowing that Ed's about Ed. The story's about mine. I'm not there.
And he should be. I mean, it's
his show.
That's where he's making money. Where
that's
this
his
is
income.
just like a side thing. And
Aiken's reading commercials, so he's hoping to get a few more shekels from these paid commercials. He might be able
voiceovers or whatever. And then somebody'll go back into the vaults and go, "Oh my God, this guy says that about black people. He says this about women."
I still think that they were trying to rope Charlie Kendall into their stable to get some shine and to try to make it more. And then they went back to that last night. Ed, Charlie Kendall was doing it before you were,
but he wasn't doing it well. I mean, that's the bottom line.
He was doing it in Ohio and Pennsylvania or wherever you're hearing it. But as we've expressed to other people who lived across the country, they don't know who Charlie Kendall is.
He's the minor league guy. It's minor league baseball versus major league.
Exactly. If you had heard of him, it was probably his voice over a spot and didn't even know it was him, is my guess. But you have Andrew, who's from New Jersey and now Oklahoma, who never heard of Charlie Kendall, and he should have been right in the actual, like you said, listening zone of Charlie Kendall's broadcast from his station. I'm from California. We ain't know. I guarantee you, I can go to anyone down in this, and they ain't heard of Charlie Kendall, dude.
And I think the only time I've heard any Charlie Kendall was back when I was a big Kiss tard and would do like tape trading, and I think there was a few Ace Frehley interviews that he had done, and those just happened to be off Metal Shop, but that's about the extent of it. I mean, I never heard the show on the radio. It was all on a fucking cassette.
Well, it's a local type thing, is what they don't seem to, or they maybe they get it, but they just overlook that angle. But they seem to act like, well, this guy was doing that. Well, okay, I'll give you an example. I'm from the Sacramento Bay Area. One of the biggest stations in those areas was back in the old days, the 80s, was
Hmm.
93 Rock. It later changed to 98 Rock. I think it still exists in Sacramento to this day. And there was a DJ on there named Pat Martin, who's very good friends with Tesla since
Hmm.
like 1985 or 86. And since that day, he's been spinning that music since those early 80s or mid 80s. My point is, so to me, Pat Martin is someone I'd go, oh yeah, Pat Martin from 98 Rock. This does talks about rock music, interviews all these guys. I don't expect Wendell or Aiken to have
Right.
any clue who that is, because that's a
Right.
guy who was in radio from the 80s to the early 2000s, only in Northern California, only on the rock stations there. I don't think that these people in other places are going to know exactly who that is. But if you went over to Jeff Keith and said Pat Martin of
Hmm.
nine, he go, oh yeah, I know Pat Martin. I'm saying there's like a radio guy that everybody knew. So not knocking Charlie Kendall, we'd probably have him on the show if he wanted to come talk metal with us. But I'm just saying I was never exposed to it, dude. He wasn't on our radio in Sacramento, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. You didn't hear it. So
Yeah, and I debate. I would debate that all day long that he knows metal. I think they always poke fun at Ed Trunk as far as his limitations, as far as the knowledge on metal. I think
mhm.
Kendall's probably on the same boat. I don't think he could tell you anything past like Anthrax, maybe
Or who's
Anthrax,
on the
Slayer, and
current charts that might have something that he could
yeah,
spin for his
yeah,
show, but that's getting fed to
yeah,
him via what? The
yeah,
internet, whoever's on the
sure,
rock chart selling this or charting that. With when you go listen to what his show is, not bad. He plays cool tunes and has some good music, but it's usually new stuff that's popular that's also on the radio stations at the
sure,
local right here in Medford, Oregon, play some of that stuff.
right.
So it's not like he's playing any deep tracks or anything. He's discovering any
No,
artists.
it's
So,
it's no different than House of
and
Hair
I'm not knocking
or
him. Maybe
Full
he
Metal
did that.
Jackie. Yeah,
We're not knocking. Maybe he did do that in 1982, and maybe there was no
sure.
other guy yet doing that. But there was like a guy named Wolfman Jack before
Hmm.
him, and there was there's all these guys, and they
Sure.
all kind of in their own way broke a ground or played a record or did somebody a favor that they didn't, no one else was doing favors for, that later became a big act or whatever.
Hmm.
So I'm just saying, to act like, well, he was 84 and Trunk was 85 or whatever, like that. Well, what would that
Yeah.
matter? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, what, we're not talking about someone who's like, oh, this guy started in 2002, but you were here since 82. Well, then I would say the guy from 82
Yeah.
is probably more
Right.
legit, but Ed's
Yeah.
been
I
doing
mean,
this since he was fucking literally in high school at Megaforce or whatever
right.
right after high
Right.
school.
And
So
it's probably more of a span of a few months, really. I
yeah,
mean, not
yeah,
yeah.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
nothing glaring or
no,
anything. I mean,
no,
they're
exactly.
yeah.
And there was other guys. I'm pretty sure Pat Martin was on the radio playing rock music in Northern California in the mid '80s. So I don't know where that
Hmm.
ranks him, but he was playing Tesla and this and that and shit from LA and Hollywood that he would hear, and bands that were
Yeah.
up and coming and
Well,
doing the rock thing.
and
When other
even
artists in the area were playing hip hop or playing pop or playing
mhm.
whatever, he was kind of out on a ledge playing. At that time, Tesla was a young band that no one had ever heard. He was like, "Hey, check these guys out. They're local and fucking cool."
Right.
So, yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, it's regional too. I mean, I think when you like over in Portland, we had KGON, which was more of the classic rock. They used to at some point play metal. In fact, if you go watch the Iron Maiden video for Aces High, check out the T-shirt Bruce is wearing. It's a KGON T-shirt.
Doing. Yeah.
Um, and then we had KUFO. Both KGON and KUFO had a fellow that would always bring a lot of the classic rock bands. In fact, he was another guy that was tight with Tesla, Scott Prescott, and I think he's still doing radio. He's just more doing the Neely Aiken thing, where it's more online type stuff. But he worked at both stations, and he was somebody, at least
Mhm.
regionally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you go in across the country, there's probably 20 or 30 of these kind of guys who stayed at rock radio stations and generally mid to major markets and took a chance and played bands again that were at those times a new band with a first album that maybe someone wasn't cranking or there was a single that they heard. So, props to all those dudes. Not knocking Charlie Kendall. I'm just saying, why would you demote the guy who, quite frankly, at this point, we all would say right now the top radio
Sure.
DJ for rock music in this country, at least in America, is Ed Trunk and Sirius and what he's doing and his shows, his podcasts, everything. So, no, I don't listen to him all the time. I'm kind of a in and out. I listen to a lot of other things, but I don't ever. I think the only thing that I've ever knocked him for is the I Me Mine, which we all do because we're all used to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we just expect it.
Right. It's kind of a shtick too. I almost think it's almost kind of like with the Neely, the you knows. I don't think you can break him from that.
Exactly, and we should say that Ed reached out. Obviously, you saw me at Ed's second home,
Yeah.
and so Ed said, "Hey, Neely's brother, I'm good with you. It's just your older brother is a jack off." And I said, "Well, he kind of is a jack off."
I'm wondering if we can get. I'm trying to figure this out. Maybe we can get Ed and see if we can remember the T-shirt incident.
That we should just reach out to him and say, we don't want to get into anything. We just need a quick 10-minute talk about this T-shirt, this business.
Do you
that
remember?
awesome.
Yeah.
And he may just say, I don't remember. And it was probably one of, a dozen shirts over my years I got that just didn't fit, and I wasn't going to wear that logo. And that's a personal thing, as everyone knows. You get to a shirt, you look at it and you go, yeah, I'd wear that, or no, I ain't wearing that.
Yeah.
And everyone's different. I mean, for all we know, fucking Wendell handed him a medium and Ed's a fucking double X. We don't have any clue.
Yeah, it's like, it's like, got that. Oh, free Ellefson coffee. Oh, I'm not going to wear that to soccer practice for the kids.
Exactly.
Right. So, but I don't know. I think if we got Ed, it would be fun to just do a 10-minute thing. It's just 10 minutes of your time there, Ed.
Just curious what your interactions were with Wendell Neely of the Classic Metal Show. If you remember him, he's Don Dawkins' helper.
And he seems to think that you guys know each other and you hang out. Whenever he bumps into you, you guys hang out and chit chat.
Yeah. So my guess though is, again, Ed's too busy. It's got other shit going on, dude.
He's probably yeah. Okay,
if you really think about this, yeah, exactly. Because in Ed's mind, he's like, okay, I got to get back and get this and get on this flight and get back there, and by tomorrow I got to be on the mic over there doing that show, and then on Wednesday I got to be there, and then on Thursday I got to be in my second home. This is how Ed's operating, dude, and you can't blame him. That's how he makes money. That's how he lives. That's his job. That's his career. That's what he does. So why would you be all
right?
That's like saying Axl Rose. Why do you care about being Axl Rose? Well, he's Axl Rose. Of course he cares about Guns N' Roses and what they're doing, and where they're going. That's his job. That's what he gets paid. What do you expect? So I don't blame Ed in that way. I just think it is funny how he does interject himself into every possible angle of every story he could. Like if he literally was like, well, I one time passed out a flyer for that bad in 1986. Later they changed their name and became this, that, and the other. And I think I had a good hand in helping them. So it's like, dude,
I was at the first Steel Piston concert.
Exactly. I saw Wendell Neely's first drum off at the the country club, in Reseda, or wherever Wendell was. I don't know. I mean, it was clearly wasn't at the Whiskey or Gazzari's or anything. We would have heard about him.
Yeah,
but So that's just the CMS wrap up for this week. The typical stuff, man. I don't blame anybody if they're no longer tuning in or they're getting a segment or two in and then saying, dude, I can't do this anymore. Again, I don't mind. I don't agree with their takes on the Back to the Beginning event. My experiences were different, but I can say I at least would rather hear them talk about that than Jimmy Swaggart.
Yeah.
So that's, at least that was a music related topic.
Yeah. And even the Ed Trunk thing was somewhat tolerable to a degree, and then it's like, oh, here we are rehashing the stuff you guys have done 3 or 4 or 5 or a dozen times already.
Yeah, and again, if there was fire to be fought in that battle, then it seems like that would be cool to bring up. But since Ed is never going to give you any crossfire and that he's not engaging, and it's just a one-sided blah, we're hearing about the same shit, then bitching about what he says.
So real quick though, what's your take on? Because I found this is somewhat fascinating to me. Just the fact that they've wormed their way, or Chris has wormed his way. Neely isn't doing shit. I know he says a lot of we or they're a friend of the show, and it's like, well, no, I think they're social, casual acquaintances now with Aiken, Florentine, but. what do you make of that? Like, what do you think that because at times at first I thought, well, maybe he's just gonna try to string them along. Now it seems like maybe they are uh, acquaintances or something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess they could be. I don't,
Right.
that's kind of like, well, that's like me saying, well, I'm an acquaintance with Charlie Kendall.
Right.
Like, what does that mean? You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
that
I'm
doesn't
not
mean
saying
shit.
I'm not knocking Florentine. I'm just saying I don't. And I
Right.
don't think he's nearly as funny as they make him out to be. I mean, he's
Right.
a funny guy. He
Right.
cracks a couple of good one-liners. You have
He's
these
funnier than
conversations.
Don Jameson, I think,
For
right?
sure. That guy's a bump on a log. I don't even know how anyone would ever give that guy a penny of your money to be funny. That just
Or
doesn't
sign
make
him
any.
to release albums, comedy.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, so maybe his opinions on music might even be better than his comedy, and he should stick to
Oh,
doing like album
that is
reviews or
true. I think
something.
that,
Yeah, yeah,
with Jameson, I think he's more.
yeah,
He would be fun to talk about
the music. Yeah,
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 not
but
comedy.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just so, but the angle there, I my only thing I can only guess they're trying to get Ed Trunk's attention. They're
That's
trying
what
to
I
get
thought. Hmm.
Kumia's attention.
Hmm.
Now, my guess is, as a person who's listened to these guys for 15 years or whatever it's been, I'm going to say they're trying to find links for business transactions or
Hmm.
get our show on the compound or
Sure.
get us an hour on this on
Hmm.
whatever that Ed can pull, or Aiken needs to do websites for people and people need website where I'm just saying there's some
Right.
other reason, there's some
Yeah.
other personal motivation that's making them clamor for
Sure.
these two guys to be associated with the Classic Metal Show. Ed Trunk, at least you could say he has music, that's what he does. Having him associated
Hmm.
with your show, if yours a music show, makes sense. Kumiya, I don't really even understand why that is he like Mr. Black Sabbath metal guy? Is he out there doing
Right.
album reviews and talking about the scene and what's on the news? I don't see that. I listen to his podcast here and there, and he's funny
Right.
as fuck, but he ain't got nothing to do with anything the CMS has anything to do with. So
No, I think that's
that's
more of
probably
a
just more
Neely
of
thing, right?
and just wanting to coattail ride a little bit
Hmm.
there, get a few more clicks. If he's on our show and he's over there doing compound, getting all those clicks, maybe some of those clicks come over here. They can start seeing dollar signs. When Aiken meets shekels, he's probably looking for advertisements and clicks and ways to get shit going for the show. So,
Well, I
okay.
think this all kind of started going more full steam ahead since the Dokken talk of him winding things down. Like I think that was their connection to getting some attention, right? Was the Don Dokken, but he's turned out to be such a dick and an asshole, in all these interviews and stuff like that, and always shit talking George and Jeff. That I think that's kind of that's kind of backfired on him.
Absolutely. And they're not going to get much more mileage out of that because Don doesn't got much more mileage out there on the road, so to speak. So yeah, Neely, they're all going to have to look for different ways to keep the show. My thing is like, why do you not go? Why did you go to these things that are not directly music related? Go back to music stuff. There's plenty
Hmm.
of things in the music stuff that, again, you ran off Braverman, you ran off Real Jeff Tate, you
Right.
ran off. You don't let Tim James on the phone ever anymore.
No.
I don't know why that is. You
Right.
don't. You obviously won't take my calls. You're not
Yeah.
taking. I'm not hearing from
No.
Andrew.
No
You're not gonna.
Barden.
Listen
No
to nobody.
Barden.
There's nobody. No
Yeah.
Barden. We can go down the list. Yeah. I
Right.
mean, yeah. I go back to. I'd rather have them tell me next week that Veronica's coming on for a segment. Oh, okay. At least we haven't heard from her in a while.
Right.
Let's see what that chick's
Right.
up to. I'm just saying, there's people out there you could be reaching out to get a segment or two out of. You're not for whatever reason, or they're not coming on because of the shit you said in the past, or the way you treated them, or whatever happened. Um, I'm not in the know of all those situations, but it seems to me again, you kind of keep cutting off all your sources for what made everything good. So
Right. And I'm trying to figure out
if they're thinking that more Neely and more Swaggart Baker talk is
right.
going to get clicks, they're
But
sadly mistaken.
I think we've had this discussion before with everybody on the people on the Rumble chat, is that they're so smashed and shit faced by that point. They just, it's just something for them to do while they're fucked up.
That's definitely a segment of who they're playing to on the Saturday Night Live broadcast for sure, because the numbers prove there's no huge overwhelming audience. It's the same, 150, 200 guys and women, and most of them are
Consistent.
probably pretty, like you said, pretty blitzed on a Saturday night at home with their brouhahas or whatever they're doing,
Right.
and getting fucked
Right.
up. And I don't blame them if that's what CMS brings to them and that's the role that they. But again, that's why, like, why would Neely just launch a 3-hour? We'll just do music, Neely's DJ hour show, and do that, and let Aiken be free of having to sit here and talk on and on and on,
Or
about
do a
shit that,
do a 2-hour talk and then end it, and he can do his stupid requests, for the
that's what I'm saying,
idiots
the
that
Neely
want to
radio
hear their
hour.
names,
Yeah, just
the
spin all
names
that
streamed
shit. Yeah.
online.
This is for Nathan in Kentucky. We got you here, brother. Here's a tune you want to hear. So, yeah.
Here's a song for T. Cuz bra.
Raise your horn.